just gears up. Facebook has been kind of real slow these days. Facebook. For those who are joining or those who watch this live, my name is Deborah Taylor. I'm the author of the Scribe of Watchman and the co-founder of the Writers Incorn International. So today I'm going to be talking to you about fasting. And I want to talk to you, I'm going to be doing a series of teachings on the topic of fasting. And then I'm going to shift it probably to some topics on prayer. But my series to start is going to be on fasting. So I have my notes here, and I'm going to talk to you first about fasting. What is fasting and what is consecration? Because a lot of times people are putting fasting under the umbrella of consecration. So we need to, first of all, know what the difference is. Fasting comes in two forms. Either the dry fast, where you eat nothing, the water fast, not liquids, but the water fast. So when you're talking about the water fast, you don't drink tea, you don't drink coffee. It's strictly water. So those are two basic, true types of fasting. It's water and dry fasting. And when you do this, you either give up food, and some people have started doing other things, like they may give up TV, they may give up sugar. That's more I would say along Lent or something. But to really do a fast, you're going to give up something that hinders you from seeking God, from hearing God. So it's done for a specific time or period. Some do it for 3 days, some 21 days, some do it for 40 days. It just depends on what God is instructing you to do in regards to fasting. But when it comes to consecration, to consecrate is to separate from things that would contaminate your relationship with God. To consecrate also falls along the lines of sanctification, purification, and holiness. You're going to sanctify, you're going to pull back from some things. So I hear people saying, oh, I'm going to fast from social media. No, you're consecrating yourself from social media for a specific time, because these things may contaminate your spirit and your relationship with God. So a lot of times I may say, well, hey, I'm not going to watch anything. I'm not listening to anything. And that's not to hurt anyone's feelings or anything like that. But that's just because I need to hear from God for myself. Because God talks to each and every one of us if we're willing to listen to his voice and to learn how to discern the three voices that I mentioned the other day, whether it's your voice, whether it's God's voice, or whether it's the voice of the enemy. So those are the difference between fasting and consecration. You do it as for something that's personal. In Matthew 6:16-18, it says, don't be like the hypocrites. You don't have to put on a sad face. You don't have to put on ashes and sackcloth to fast. It's very personal. It's very intimate. This is something that you're trying to get God answer or response or direction. You're seeking for God. So it's very personal. Don't be a hypocrite. Again, write down those scriptures, Matthew 6, verses 16-18. Just to reset again, my name is Deborah Taylor. I'm the author, the Scribe of Watchman, and the co-founder of the Writers Incorn International. When you're trying to fast for a breakthrough, this is very important, a breakthrough. As you know, America as a whole is in a very trying, very serious, very detrimental, and even deadly time. So when you're in this type of time, God is calling us to get on our faces. He's calling us to get out on our faces, to cry out, to weep, to repent, to turn from our ways, and to restore our lives back to God. Some prophets are calling it reset. It's a divine realignment where we must get back to the things of God. We must return to the Creator to really get the answers and to lift this plague that's on this nation. And He's not calling everyone to fast and to pray. He says, if my people, that's God's people, will humble themselves and seek His face and turn from their wicked ways. You know what that means? That means some of us are not doing the right things. We're falling into wickedness so that we are not set apart and we're not separating ourselves from the world. We're no longer that light, that city set on a hill. We're no longer the salt of the earth because we've aligned with the world and the things of God. And let me go back a little bit to the consecration when I'm talking about the things of the world. There's this thing called intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is not a fast. It's basically you're reducing your intake. You're not eating as much. A law for losing weight is to take in less calories than you need because fat stores up as extra calories. So it's not intermittent fasting, but the world is taking our terminologies, our biblical terminologies, write the vision as a man thinketh, and they're running with it and they're profiting off of it while Christians sit back there and say, oh, I don't want to use my talents to make money because that's of God. God says we live in the world, but not of it. Guys, as long it the love of money, the love of money. We allow the world to take biblical principles and to profit off the Bible. But at the same time, you won't use your gifts, your creative gifts, your talents, your writing, your skills to glorify God and to continue with kingdom building. Enough said. That's that's off the topic. Let's talk about fasting for the breakthrough. I'm going to be reading a little bit. I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot from Mark, the 9th chapter, verses 14 through 29. Again, Mark, the 9th chapter, verses 14 through 29. It talks about this boy who's being healed. And it says, and when he came to the disciples, he being Christ, he saw a great multitude around them. And the scribes, remember this, scribes then were the ones that actually scribed the Torah, the first 5 books of the law. They were called lawyers because they were copyists. They copied the law. They were not scribes as far as writing books. Let's clarify that. It says, he saw a great multitude around them, and the scribes disputing with them. Remember, these were the learned men. They had the law. They knew the Torah. Immediately, when they saw him, all the people were greatly amazed when they saw Christ. They was like, oh my gosh. So I'm going to do a little dramatic, theatrical intervention in here so that maybe you can get the picture. And running to him, they greeted him. And he said to the scribes, what are you discussing with them? God was so masterful with asking those questions. What are you discussing with them? Then one of the crowd answered and said, teacher, I brought you my son who has a mute spirit. And whenever it seizes him, it throws him down. He foams at the mouth, gnashes and becomes rigid, stiff. So I spoke to your disciples that they should cast it out, but they could not. So this man is saying, hey, Christ, I went to your disciples to help get deliverance for my son, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. And Christ said to them, oh, faithless generation. He said they didn't have any faith. How long shall I be with you? How long shall I bear with you? Bring him to me. Then they brought him, the boy, to Christ. And when he saw him, immediately the spirit convulsed him. That means this young man was possessed. So the spirit saw Christ and it convulsed him. And he fell on the ground and wallowed, foaming at the mouth. Have you ever seen people on drugs? Don't they foam at the mouth? I can speak that because I've had family members that have been on drugs. They foam at the mouth. So he asked his father, the boy's father, how long has this been happening to him? And he said, from childhood. And often he has thrown him both into the fire. That means that spirit has thrown him into the fire and into the water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, he's begging him, if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Jesus said to him, if you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes. That's all God wants us to do, is to believe, have faith. Immediately, this is verse 24, the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, believe, have mercy on my unbelief. We need to cry out that now. God, we believe in you. Have mercy on our unbelief. And when Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, deaf and dumb spirit, I command you, come out of him and enter him no more. I mean, that's final. That means you're not going into the dry places and gathering up your buddies and coming back. He said, I'm going to repeat that, deaf and dumb spirit. That means the spirit was causing him to be deaf and dumb. I command you, because it couldn't have been deaf or dumb if God was telling him and commanding him. That means if that spirit was really deaf and dumb, the spirit was deaf and dumb, Christ would not have been able to speak to it. But he was talking to the spirit that was causing the young man to be deaf and dumb. Deaf and dumb spirit, I command you, come out of him and enter him no more. Then the spirit cried out, convulsed him greatly. That means that spirit was upset. Convulsed him greatly. And he became as one dead. So many said, he is dead. They thought the spirit had killed him. But Jesus took the young man by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. Now here's the very important part when it comes to spiritual breakthrough. With Jesus, and he had come into this house, and his disciples said to him privately, they asked him privately, Jesus, come here. Why could we not cast it out? Remember, there before these scribes said, your people can't do their job. He said, why could we do it, God? And he said to them, verse 29, remember this kind can come out by nothing but prayer and fasting. There are times in our life when praying to God, crying out to God, asking him, seeking him repetitively is not. We have to get our breakthroughs through prayer and fasting. So that's the teaching for today, guys. I pray that you are blessed. I pray that God keeps you and may his face shine upon you. This is Deborah Taylor. I'm the author of The Scribal Watchman and the co-founder of the Writers Incorporated International. Have an awesome day, and I'll try to get back about this time tomorrow for the second part of series or teaching on fasting. Bye, Facebook. Have an awesome day, Periscope.